Hello and welcome, colleagues, to Season 2, Episode 4 of We Will Get Through This, Transformative Leadership for Disruptive Times. John, it's awfully nice to see you. How are you?
Good to see you, Scott. Happy holidays.
You as well. And John, we're really fortunate today because we have Ebony Harris joining us from Maryland in the United States. And as we know, Ebony is just an outstanding principal who's been working through some very difficult times for what seems like it's been going on for years, but it's actually only been about 9 months now?
Yes.
Ebony, it's wonderful to see you.
It's wonderful to see you both. Hello. Happy holidays to you both.
Yeah, thanks, Ebony. We are really excited to have you on board, and we had the chance to meet once before for a project Scott and I are working on. But can you just give us a brief recap about the reality of what you've been through this year since, February and March when we knew COVID was coming, and then we want to get to your strategies as a leader. But let's just start to give our listeners a context of what you've been through and how it's going.
Absolutely. I am actually Ebony Harris. I'm a principal. I have been a principal on paper for 10 years, but I would say that I'm a brand new principal with first year as a distance learning principal. I'm responsible for 1,004 students, over 120 staff members, representing 30 countries and 26 languages across the world. So I like to say that I travel the world without a passport each and every day. So although I think that everyone has a set of challenges during this very difficult, tumultuous time, my challenges were a bit different. Trying to navigate, we still are receiving newcomers and refugees from various countries and trying to adjust our program and our resources to support our parents with limited English and limited transportation, limited funding. We are a 97.03% Title I school. So with all of that in virtual learning, and we also know the digital divide, not having enough computers initially for our students and closing so abruptly, just trying to plan and process. But one thing I will say, I'm grateful for my strategic brain and my our CEO of the district where I work. She told us, she charged us all with being COOs, Chief Operating Officers. And in order to be a Chief Operating Officer, I have the opportunity to be strategic and creative and innovative. And that is exactly what I have been doing and will continue to do during this time.
Wow. Ebony, it's a great introduction to yourself and your school and what you've been doing. Okay, so, a big thing that our listeners out there are keen to understand is, as we opened up and said, we are about 9 months into this pandemic, and it's really grinding on for a lot of people. And what's obvious in interacting with you is your energy and your passion and your enthusiasm. Well, actually, look, I'm going to start with you. How do you maintain that? Let's do that first before we talk about how you build that with your school.
So for me, strong levels of support. Personally, I have a lot of support. I think that is key and essential, is reflecting, having opportunities, me time for myself to recharge. Although I'm not the best at that, I do make time for myself at least 35, 40 minutes in the morning to pray and meditate and journal about things that I'm grateful for, because I like to start my day with half full thoughts versus half empty. And it truly helps me to guide my thinking so that I can be there and show up for my family and my personal family and my Templeton family every day. So I do that every single day. I go to a closet and I spend my time for 30 to 45 minutes. And I get dressed and I get started with the day, and I sit where I am pretty much all day until I feel like I've gotten to a good stopping point for the day. So that is how I take care of me in order to take care of my school.
Thanks.
So, Ebony, as you recharge your battery every day, have you been able to have that rub off on strategies you've used with your staff to try to find that same space for themselves?
Oh, absolutely. I am a huge advocate for the staff taking time for themselves, providing them with opportunities to just release and just to woosah. So I'm constantly reminding them to take that time. And one of the ways that I do that, and I did very early, is I looked at the realm of influence. And I always remind the staff and myself, what are the things that we can control? I can't control vaccinations. I can't control when school will open. I can't control if we have computers, but I can control what I do once we have the computers. I can control the amount of work that I give to staff. There are some things that are in my realm of influence and some things that are not. So reminding the staff of that. Yesterday, for example, with Gmail and Google going down, I was like, okay, what's in my realm of influence? They're panicking. Okay, I'm going to get the call out done to the parents. I'm going to do a text message on my phone. I'm going to call each and every new teacher to say, you got this. I sent them a quick text message. And then I decided, what didn't I do? What was in my realm of influence? Now I have a message thread with all my staff because I didn't have that on our school messenger system. I did that. And then I did some pre-recorded messages just in case this happens again, so that I can do this easily. So can I control whether Google goes down again? No, but I can control my responses. And then I sent a message to the staff basically saying the same thing. This is what I did. Guys, just remember, I had 2 cups of tea and we're going to be okay. And that's what you should do as well. So realm of influence is extremely important to remember during this time, because regardless to how I respond, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I had a teacher who got COVID yesterday, but it's okay. We're going to be okay. So I guess my biggest thing is like starting from the realm of influence and then moving forward from that. So there are changes that I make that may not necessarily be exactly what other principals do. But one big thing that I decided was less would be more for our school. So a lot of the things that maybe our district level, once I got the go ahead to be the COO, there are things that I modify for our school so that I could take some of the stress off the students and take some of the stress off the teachers. So for example, we were told to give out the devices early that first week of school because we didn't have all of our materials. What I did was got a team together. While we were waiting for supplies, we got everything we could in our school and we created comprehensive supply kits for our students with the materials we had in the school. And once we had a robust kit for each student with whiteboards and all the things, manipulatives, things that we thought that we had at the school in our realm of influence that we could put together, then we had our students to come up one parent at a time with 1,000 students, literally 1 to 2 parents at a time. It took us like a week, but it was so fluid and the parents appreciated it. They didn't have it the first week of school because I did not want to send them home with 1 or 2 sheets of paper and a charger and not a computer. I said, we're going to do this good and we're going to do this in a way that keeps us safe and where the parents can trust that we're making the best decisions for their students. So that's one of the ways that, although I was directed to do it that way, I decided to backwards map a little bit, think about what's in my realm, and execute in that way.
Ebony, earlier this year, when we talked, you had done some specific strategies for kids who were more vulnerable, either kids who were newly arrived to the U.S. or kids you knew that had special needs, or they just might not have the supports at home. Do you mind recapping that for audience, what you were doing then, some of which I know you're continuing now?
Yes. So prior to COVID, we had a newcomer program because, as I stated, we have 30 countries and 26 languages. And that was a full immersion program. Those students were in a classroom with a highly qualified ESOL newcomer teacher, too. And they were just in the classroom all day getting that support. So during COVID and last year, we decided that those students also needed access to the general education curriculum because they were just getting lower level instruction and just learning the language. So what we did was we decided that they would just get supports from the newcomer teachers pushing in. But as you said, once I realized, oh, you know what? We're really not going back to school in the same way. We started the first quarter and I was like, okay, we'll be back soon. What we did was we modified that program that was in the classroom. So now it's kind of a hybrid. They spend 3 days getting intensive support from a paraprofessional and their 2 ESOL teachers. It's a team of 4. And then on the other days, they get grade level support by going into the classroom and the ESOL teachers push in. If you could see the light bulbs with these students, because now they feel safe to take risks and make mistakes with pronouncing words and just accessing information that's on their level and that's culturally responsive. And then when they go into the class and struggle for a few days with their general ed peers, I think it has built their confidence and they feel okay with the whole process. So we had to modify our program even during COVID. We thought we had the right mix, but now we've modified it to best meet the needs of our students. In addition, for our special education program, we have strategically placed our students in classrooms so that our special ed teachers can have easy access to them. And because our students get 30 minutes specifically in primary of whole group instruction, the small group instruction, we ensure that we have our ESOL teachers and our SPED teachers to be there to provide them with scaffolds while they are learning.
Ebony, one thing that's pretty clear when you talk is that you are a big picture visionary thinker, but you're also that rare individual who's that person and can put it in place at the ground level really thoughtfully, really purposefully.
Yeah, I think it's my Gallup strengths. I'm futuristic and I'm a strategic thinker all at the same time.
It's very obvious hearing you talk. So, so for our leaders out there who in many ways have these big ideas, but sometimes struggle to put them in place. What's your advice for them in terms of how do they build this kind of collective efficacy, this momentum in their building where their team is on board?
I think with me, one thing being big picture and also being strategic, one thing that I have learned to be totally transparent is that because I can see the big picture, sometimes I just run with it. And then I'm just like, okay, oops, I made a mistake. Let me try this. Okay, let me do this. And I'm very detail oriented. And what I had to realize was, one, sometimes you just got to go. You just got to do it and then make mistakes and be okay with those mistakes and move forward as long as it's not hindering children. So I would say anyone that's being fearful to just think about it, get your vision and just move forward. And then have people around you that can put in the details. I have some great people on my team that ask me the what if questions. They're very much need input and things like that. So while I'm thinking and I'm planning, they can say, well, Ms. Harris, I don't think that's going to work. Or no, this is not going to work. So I would say start with your big picture and set 1 or 2 goals about how to get you to that place. And then the rest will fall in place and just have those checks for understanding in between. So I meet with my team and leaders quite often, at least once a day, my 2 assistant principals, and I meet with the other leaders of the school once a week so that we can dissect and make changes and things like that. And one thing I will say, in the hustle and bustle, because we're literally building the boat and sailing at the same time, you must have some strategy meetings. So I would recommend, if anyone's hearing this right before a holiday, like we have our holiday coming up, I take those 2 days before Thanksgiving, and I'm going to take those 2 days before Christmas to just re-strategize. Look at the big tickets. What are we doing? What's not working? What are the things we thought about and never revisited? And let's kind of map those out. And then what I do is have a Zoom, and people who are associated with those different big picture items, I have them to come on in the Zoom and we do a brain dump and we just make sure that we leave with 1 or 2 outcomes. But sometimes in the day-to-day part, you can't do that. So you have to strategically, intentionally make time for planning, revisiting, data collection, and moving forward.
Ebony, as you look at the 1,000 things you've had to do this year and think at least 600 of them you didn't know you were due in January, what's the thing you're proudest of for you and your school?
Wow, so much. I'm so grateful. I think one thing that we have done well is to support each other. Supporting new teachers, supporting our school through some very tumultuous times. I'll just share briefly that 2 of our staff members lost their children. We lost one of our students who accidentally caused bodily harm to herself, which ended in her passing away. We have a student that was burned on 50% of her body. We have some major molestation cases in our school right now. And we had my secretary passed away. She just retired a few years ago. She passed away suddenly a few days ago. So with all that, I feel like we have supported each other and we have moved forward. And the biggest thing, like I said, was loving and supporting on each other, and deciding that what really matters. Okay, we didn't do that chart. It's all right. As long as we're supporting each other, taking care of our social, emotional, and taking care of the basic academic needs of our students, we are perfectly fine. So I would say that's one of the great things that we've done. Another thing that we've done is to try again. So when things don't, we try things, and we assess things, and we move forward. Right now, we're in the middle of an independent practice audit, because a lot of our district has told us not to give the students homework, which I agree with, but they're supposed to do independent practice time. So as a school, we are auditing what we're giving each student. So the grade level teachers, the PE teachers, the music teachers, ESOL, we all put them on a chart for each teacher, and we're looking at the amount of work and how the students are supposed to complete this. Is it by themselves? Is it with someone at home? Is it in a Zoom room? Is this work even aligned? Is it purposeful? Because being home and having to work on a computer all day, and then a kindergartner having 2 to 3 hours of work, independent work at home, is that really beneficial if we believe that social emotional work is important? That we need to take care of them and take care of their parents. So I would say, just like our ability to try again, and our ability to truly support each other, I think is helping us through this pandemic.
Ebony, I'm really glad we reached back out to you, because this is exactly what we remembered from our first interaction with you, is that we hung up inspired about what you're doing and the difference you're making. And whether you know it or not, I think your reach is huge. And so we're really pleased you took the time. A lot of times at the end of these, we ask our contributor, our visitor, what suggestions they might have for other principals around the world. But boy, I think just listening to this whole podcast, the number of wonderful suggestions you've provided are outstanding. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think so, Ebony. One of the things that unfortunately or fortunately different parts of the world have handled this differently. And because in Australia, the international travel was cut off immediately, and then we were able to move to isolation because the trust of government was there and the government took charge. We've had an app, we've had track tracing, and we've got this down to where there's really no community transmission in the whole country. Travel's open for everybody this Christmas. It's just a different world. The thing that's happened is kids have been fully back to school the last several months, is how much they deeply appreciate the opportunity to learn together, how much they appreciate the opportunity to be with each other in a learning community. And so if you can keep doing what you're doing, hopefully by the second half of next year, all across the US, all across Europe, schools will be back, and there'll be a little bit of a window, a honeymoon of sorts, to remember that school is more than just a place to go learn. It's a place to be together and be inspired to lead great lives. And I admire you and your staff so much, but hang in. We didn't have as long a period here to go through, but actually kids have so appreciated their teachers at the next level as a result of what we've been through. And I know you feel it through the Zooms, but you're going to feel it in person here coming up in 2021.
Yes, I truly, truly believe that, and I appreciate that. I truly believe that. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to join us, Ebony.
You're welcome. And can I say one thing to the leaders? That you are enough. Everything that you have, it is not by accident that you are leading during a pandemic. You are truly enough. Trust yourself, trust your staff, believe in yourself, believe in your staff, and everything else will work it out. So I know sometimes you may cry and be frustrated, but trust me, from one first-year distance learning principal to another, you are enough. Yeah. Thank you.
Ebony, thank you very much. This has been episode 4 of season 2, where we will get through this. On behalf of Scott, I think you know why we reached out to Ebony. What a fantastic episode, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.